Welcome to ChessWire. I'm your host, Adam Carter, with your chess news. Today is Tuesday, September 27th, 2022. In your headlines today, Magnus Carlsen finally releases a statement about his bizarre behavior as of recent, and we do a deep dive into that statement in regards to defamation, libel, slander, and Dr. Kenneth Regan's analysis. All of this today on ChessWire. All right, so I know a lot of you out there have already read this statement, but I know there's going to be some who haven't heard it, so we're going to go ahead and just read the statement in its entirety, so that way we've got the context that we're going off of, and then we can go ahead and dive into different sections of this that I find peculiar. All right, so dear Chess World, at the 2022 Sinkfield Cup, I made the unprecedented professional decision to withdraw from the tournament after my round 3 game against Hans Niemann. A week later, during the Champions Chess Tour, I resigned against Niemann after playing only one move. I know that my actions have frustrated many in the chess community. I'm frustrated. I want to play chess. I want to continue to play chess at the highest level in the best events. I believe that cheating in chess is a big deal and an existential threat to the game. I also believe that chess organizers and all those who care about the sanctity of the game we love should seriously consider increasing measures and methods of cheat detection for over-the-board chess. When Niemann was invited last minute to the 2022 Sinkfield Cup, I strongly considered withdrawing prior to the event. I ultimately chose to play. I believe that Niemann has cheated more and more recently than he has publicly admitted. His over-the-board progress has been unusual, and throughout the game in the Sinkfield Cup, I had the impression he wasn't tense or even fully concentrating on the game in critical positions, while outplaying me as black in a way that I think only a handful of players can do. This game contributed to changing my perspective. We must do something about cheating, and for my part going forward, I don't want to play against people that have cheated repeatedly in the past because I don't know what they are capable of doing in the future. There is more that I would like to say. Unfortunately, at this time, I am limited in what I can say without explicit permission from Niemann to speak openly. So far, I have only been able to speak with my actions, and those actions have stated clearly that I am not willing to play chess with Niemann. I hope that the truth on this matter comes out, whatever it may be. Sincerely, Magnus Carlsen, World Chess Champion. One of the things that pops out to me instantly is that he said, I made the unprecedented professional decision to withdraw from the tournament. But if we look down further here, it says that when Niemann was invited last minute to the 2022 Sinkfield Cup, I strongly considered withdrawing prior to the event. Now, this bothers me, okay? And here's why. If he says down here at the very end, and for my part, I don't want to play against chess players who've cheated repeatedly in the past, then why, when Niemann was invited to the 2022 Sinkfield Cup, did you decide to go and play? This doesn't make any sense to me. He said he made the unprecedented professional decision. But a professional decision is this. If he were going to withdraw because he knew that Niemann was going to be there and that he would have to play Niemann and that Niemann would probably be cheating, then why didn't he just make the decision right out off the bat to not enter the Sinkfield Cup and go ahead and say why and make a statement like this saying why he wasn't going to? He doesn't want to play cheaters anymore, and though he decided to go ahead and enter the tournament, lost to Hans Niemann, and we all looked at that game, and it seemed to me and to other grandmasters that Magnus just wasn't playing a very good game. And maybe that's all this is. I want to get into another statement here too that I really find peculiar. There is more that I would like to say. Unfortunately, this time I'm limited in what I can say without explicit permission from Niemann. Now, why does he need explicit permission from Niemann? And I'll tell you why. It's because of defamation. And right here, this could in itself be considered a libel. Now, there's a difference between libel and slander. We'll go ahead and go right to the legal definition in the United States about what defamation is. And here at the Legal Information Institute, it says defamation is a statement that injures a third party's reputation. The tort of defamation includes both libel, written statements, and slander, spoken statements. State common law and statutory law governs defamation actions, and each state varies in their standards for defamation and potential damages. Defamation is a tricky area of law, as the lines between stating an opinion versus a fact can be vague, and defamation tests the limits of the First Amendment freedoms of speech and press. So In other words, what they're saying here is that defamation suits can be very tricky, very hard to pull off. But in this case, I think that Hans would have a very good case for a defamation suit if Hans were to make a defamation suit or to file a defamation suit against Magnus Carlsen. Magnus would have to then travel to New York. His lawyers would have to go there. There would be a lot of problems. But I'm not so certain that this statement in and of itself isn't libel. This is another part that I found suspicious. He said, I believe Niemann cheated more. And at the Sinkfield Cup, I had the impression that he wasn't tense or even fully concentrating on the game in critical positions. Who cares? It doesn't matter what you think, like how tense he should be. Maybe he took a Xanax before the round and he was just chill, or maybe he had a shot of vodka or something to calm his nerves. I mean, there's a million different things that could have been. He goes, while outplaying me in black in a way that I think only a handful of players could do. Isn't it possible that you could have just had a bad day, that Magnus Carlsen could have just had a bad day and got his ass handed to him by the kid? Isn't that possible? And I think there are a lot of other variables here that are definite possibilities. And I think this is just more of Magnus throwing another fit like we saw in St. Louis. And he's doubling down now. And the reason that he wants this permission from Hans Niemann is so that way he can avoid any type of lawsuit, defamation lawsuit for libel or slander. And that's what he's asking for. And if you're Hans Niemann, are you in any way going to go and say to Magnus Carlsen, oh yeah, you've accused me of cheating publicly, you've embarrassed me, my entire life has been uprooted, and all of these people are attacking me and calling me a cheater, and you're destroying my reputation, I may not be invited to other events or blacklisted from FIDE, and you want me to give you permission to slander me, to libel me, and to destroy my reputation further. You want me to give you that permission without there being any type of legal repercussion. This is never, ever going to happen. There's one more thing that I want to address, and that's been floating around the internet for quite a while, and that is this bell curve that's been showing like how fast Hans Niemann's rating has evolved throughout the last few years. Now we've seen him go from a lower rated GM and then just pop up into 2,700 relatively quick. And I want to go ahead and look at Kenneth Regan here for just a second and kind of give you an idea of who this guy is. It says Kenneth W Regan, Ken Regan, an American chess player, mathematician, computer scientist, and associate professor with tenure at the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at the University of Buffalo, Amherst, New York. He defended his PhD on separation of complexity classes in 1986 at University of Oxford under Dominic Welsh. Besides computational complexity theory, his research includes other fields of information theory and pure mathematics. Kenneth W. Regan holds the title of Chess International Master with a rating of 2372. So this guy, number one, is no slouch in chess. He just decided, you know what, I'm going to use my wit and my brain and my talent, my gifts, my brilliance to do different things for the world. He's basically in charge of writing this software that is able to use statistical data, analyze that statistical data on how difficult a move might be to make for a human to see versus how easy it would be for an engine to see. And he's concluded that Hans Niemann did not cheat against Magnus Carlsen. But we'll just cut to the good parts here, and he basically talks about this bell curve that happened with Hans Niemann and his evolution as a player. He says, on the quality of his system, my system deliberately does not use specific chess knowledge. It's all based on the quantitative idea from the computer's evaluation of moves transplanted into a utility function, which is then fed into a predictive analytical model that really works in a broadly similar way to how economists base predictive and analytical models on utility functions. Now, essentially what a utility function is, it's something that is basically like a helper function. It does something with, it takes this type of game, or take a chess game, and it basically will break it down into a system of variables. So after it's went through that step and it's been broken down into these specific variables, it's fed into a predictive analytical model that really works on a broadly similar how the economists work for predictive analytics. And what this means, so we've got a game, it gets put into a utility function. That utility function basically assimilates what happened during that game so it can be fed into this predictive model. He is the top guy in the world for this. He's actually in charge of all the anti-cheating provision measures with FIDE, and he's saying there is no cheating going on. He also mentions the system is capable of highlighting players who are better than others at inducing errors from their opponents. Notables at this are Mikhail Tal and Alexei Sharov. On the result in the Capablanca Memorial, you'll find this dealt with in great detail, including a breakdown of Niemann's error rate, the error rate of his opponents, and how well his opponents played against him. The likelihood of a miracle in chess results. Littlewood's law says that if you observe 1 million happenings, one of them will have 1,000,000 to 1 prior probability, which is the common definition of a miracle. So if you see 1 million things a day, then a miracle happens every day, and in online chess, 1 million games per day is the norm. So the verdict: Dr. Regan analyzed all of Hans Niemann's games over the last 2 years, including online games such as played on chess.com and their events, and his conclusion is there is no reason whatsoever to suspect him of cheating. End of story. This is a brilliant software engineer, a brilliant mind. This is a brilliant program, and I'm a software engineer myself, and I wouldn't be able to understand the complexities of what's going on here and what he's doing, but I know that it's based upon assimilating some data and being able to put it into a different program that does predictive analysis. So my final take here is this: Hans Niemann definitely didn't cheat. Magnus is throwing a fit. He wants this permission from Hans Niemann in order to openly go ahead and slander him without any repercussion of any legal repercussion, and it's just never going to happen. And as far as him saying his unprecedented professional decision, then if you thought Hans Niemann was going to cheat, then you should have just went through with it. Now the last question to ask is, what had happened if you would have won that game with the white pieces against Hans Niemann? You wouldn't have quit. That is the point. He wouldn't have quit, and there's no way that I can think that that's professional. If you go ahead and make a decision to do something, you do it. And if you think there's cheating, then you bring it up with the organizers and you tell them what's going on. You just don't drop out. That's completely unprofessional. It's unprecedented unprofessionalism. And as far as Niemann ever giving you permission to allow you to slander and libel him any further without legal repercussion, that's just, I can't believe the arrogance of Magnus Carlsen, like stating this and trying to put this back on Niemann's shoulders, saying, yeah, go ahead, talk as bad about talk about me as bad as you want, get me blacklisted, destroy my career, and I'm not going to sue you, Magnus. The arrogance of this guy. I just can't believe it. Magnus is a wonderful chess player, and I enjoy his game. I love watching him play. And for the most part, over the years, I think he's been a super gentleman. But this is just beyond the pale, and especially from a chess world champion. But there it is. This is about all we're going to get unless Hans Niemann says, hey, I'm not going to sue you for slander. Thank you for watching ChessWire. Have a good one.